Hello, welcome to the Stolen Minutes channel. This is a podcast all about knitting and sometimes crocheting, what I'm reading, and yarny life updates in between. Today is Tuesday, October 29th. We've got Halloween in a couple of days. Today is National Cat Day. So in our house, we say every day is Cat Day. No argument from the peanut gallery here. So today's podcast is going to be, as usual, what is on and off my needles, what I've been working on. I'm going to talk about my November knitting plans. I say that in air quotes because I end up doing something completely opposite. So nothing is locked in. It's knitting, so it can change. I'll talk about what I have read, what I'm currently reading, and at the end, I will show the Christmas holiday collection of bags that are coming to the shop that we're super excited about. That is what we're going to talk about today. So what has happened in my yarn life over the past month? So in the middle of September, we went to a wedding in New Jersey on my husband's side of the family. And we stopped in Pennsylvania on the way up and stayed with his cousin Friday night. That was wonderful on a Friday night. And so we got up that next morning and we're driving from Pennsylvania to New Jersey. And I'm always looking when we're out of town for yarn shops. And so I just Googled yarn shops near me. And then it kind of hit me. I was like, Do You Knit is in New Jersey. I have no idea where in New Jersey or where I am in relation to it or on the way, whatever. So I Google our directions. I add a stop and see where Do You Knit is. Don't you know, Do You Knit was halfway. We had like 2 hours to get to where we were going. Do You Knit was halfway between. So we had to stop. So my husband is wonderful and he's like, okay, sure, fine. And there was a coffee shop and like a deli bagel place there too. So we stopped, went into Do You Knit, great store, wonderful selection of things. They were having a trunk show. They had two. They had Queen City yarns and they had 29 bridges. And both of those were new to me. So I was super excited. And then I am looking at the tables of yarn and I was debating, and I splurged and I picked up a sweater's quantity of 29 bridges. This is what I got. It is their Pont DK. It is a superwash, 60% superwash merino, 20% yak, and 20% silk. And this is their colorway front row. So, shadow your eyeballs again. So I was debating on, there was like a greenish olive color that I really liked. There was a navy I was super tempted on. But this one just kept calling my name. I love it. The yak, I think, is what gives it a little bit of black kind of tone to the pink. So I had to go with pink because I love pink and this is just a nice magenta color. So I have earmarked the Monday sweater by Petite Knit. It's just a basic raglan. I believe it might have a rolled or a folded collar. Just a basic, nice sweater, crew neck sweater. That is what I plan to do with this. I have no idea when I'm going to cast it on. Probably in the new year, to be honest, just because with Christmas Advent knitting and maybe some gift knitting going on, I don't foresee that I'd be able to give this the time to have it done in any kind of timely manner. So, and I tend to take forever on sweaters too. So anyways, so this was my big splurge, and that is a wonderful souvenir yarn. And all of their yarn, and even Queen City, they both were gorgeous. And then the following weekend we got back home was Wool Gathering, which is a local festival to me. It is in Yellow Springs, Ohio at Young's Jersey Dairy. And that was the place to go when I was a kid in high school. Like, that was where you wanted to go. They have ice cream, and they still have putt-putt, and they've added all kinds of stuff. They have, I think, fall events. Wool Gathering is huge. It's usually the third weekend in September. I've gone for probably, goodness, at least the past 15 years. I've only maybe missed a couple of years in there, here and there, randomly for different things. So it's always kind of a priority place to go. I usually only go on one of the days. It's Saturday and Sunday. This year I went both days. It was great. Saturday, I met my mom there and a friend of mine, and we went and walked around and bought a few things. We were super wanting to hit up McMullen Fiber Company. She's local out of Cincinnati, and we wanted to see Oink Fibers. They are usually there, and their colorways are fun. They have lots of puns in their colorway names. So we hit them up. And then a new one to me was the Yarn Smith. I had never seen their yarn. And so anyways, I'll show you what I got. And then I also went on Sunday with another friend who I used to knit with, like in the early to mid 2000s, something like that. I've missed knitting with her so much, and we met up for breakfast with our husbands, and then the guys went their way and did their thing, and we were free to go to Wool Gathering. And I had a few things in the back of my mind that I had not gotten on Saturday, and thought, I'm going to think about that a little bit more. So I did get a couple of things on Sunday, because, you can't let your friends shop alone. Between the 2 days, Saturday was a little busier. Sunday was a little more chill. The vendors did a really great job of making sure that both days of the event were well stocked. So I'll show you what I got there. I did go with like one thing in mind that I was looking for. I love Coats & Co. Fiber. Again, another dyer out of Cincinnati, and she has a gorgeous palette. And I think it was 2 years ago when I went, I picked up these 4 skeins, and I think I've showed these before. They've lingered on my table because I'm like, oh, I need the perfect project for them. Well, then I saw somebody, might have been Sandy by the Lakeside, knit a Second Avenue wrap. And I think she's maybe knit a couple of those, but it's a neat wrap. It's just a flat like scarf, but it's pretty wide, and so it's pretty deep around you. And I just love the way the colors play. So I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, that's what these need to be. But I needed a 5th color. Navy, I can't hold them all up. Navy felt like the answer. So I was on the hunt for a perfect navy. Now, unfortunately, Coats & Co. did not have that perfect navy this time. I think it's a little too dark for their summer palette, but the Fiber Seed did. And I love Fiber Seed yarn as well. They are another yarn dyer out of Cincinnati. So this color is just called Navy. I love how it plays together with all of these, and I'm super excited for that Second Avenue wrap. Again, I'm not going to cast it on right now because I know that my time is not available, but these will be sitting and tempting me until then. Okay, so that was the one thing I went knowing that I was looking for. I was looking for a dark, almost black navy to play with those colors. So in no particular order, and my mom also went with me, and because I knit her socks, she picked up a couple of skeins because it's just what she does. So some of these are my mom's. So So my mom she got this one. This is from Oink, and this is called Low Toner, but to be honest, we got it because it looks like Exercise Barbie from the 80s. Did anybody ever have Exercise Barbie? She had on a turquoise leotard, like full length, and then she had stripy pink, white, yellow, and maybe turquoise striped leg warmers. I think she came with like a little gym bag. I don't know. Anyways, me and my sister both had one of those Barbies, and like, yeah, that's just what we saw. And so then she was like, my mom said, I have to get it now because she remembers us loving that Barbie. So the next thing I got was at Yarnsmith, and I picked up one of their show colorways. This one is called Best Day Ever. And it's a great, all of the colors kind of colorway. And then on their clearance bin, they had this yellow, which I think is like a sports thing, but it's a DK weight. I think I'm going to knit my husband a hat with it. This is our school colors, and he's a teacher, so it would work. Then, oh, I also got this one from Yarnsmith, a nice fluorescent pink. That might become socks. I don't know. More about socks later. Then let's see. Oh, I found this at Oink. This is just called Limited Edition. Thought this was really good. All the pinks, of course. I love that one. And then when I went back, okay, so I got those on Saturday. When I went back on Sunday, I found 3 that tempted me. I feel like my mom had another one, but I might have already put that in in like her cabinet, in her shelf. So I know she got more than one, but so then when I went back on Sunday, there were a few that were still calling my name. So my friend and I went to Fiber Seed, and we really, really, really liked this sample that she had made up. And it takes advantage of the pooling effect of this yarn. So it's a cowl that is a tube. The speckly part runs down the middle, and it's like uneven. So yeah. So I think we're going to have like, I think we're going to have like a little mini knit along. I don't know when we're going to do that either. Do we sense a theme here with my plans? Yeah. More yarn than time, more projects than time. It's a never-ending problem. While we were at Fiber Seed, this is one that had been calling to me even the day before. I'm pretty sure my friend also bought this one, and we were like, oh, socks. Yes. So picked up that one. And then the last one was, this was, it wasn't this yarn dyer that was there. It was in a booth that sold their yarn, but it is round mountain fibers inspired by nature, hand dyed in Vermont. And so this one is called Black Capped Chickadee. So all of their sock yarn, I think there was some DK also, is bird names. So they had the red cardinal, they had like a toucan, they had exotic birds, and then also local birds all over the country. Really, really cool. I have another one of these in my stash that's like green and blue. I almost cast this one on as soon as I got home, but I am trying to not load up my needles with things because I just want to finish stuff. So that is what I got at Wool Gathering. It was really fun. It was really great to visit with my friend who I haven't seen in person. We talk online pretty often, but it was great to get to see her and give her a hug and all that, because we had a great knitting group back in the day. It was really fun. So that was the end of my yarny purchases. Now it's the end of October. We've got leaves falling. We'll be out raking. Our front yard, it's like a week ago, it had barely seemed like the tree had changed colors, and now it's changed colors and it's dropping. So gonna be getting outside here soon and raking up some leaves. All right, moving on to what is on my needles. I've got this project in one of my cat and mouse bags. There's still some of these in the shop. This is my scrappy musselburgh. Okay, what is this? Okay, so Sue on Instagram has hosted a knit along for the month of October called the Monster Burra Cal 2024 is the hashtag. And the idea is to grab all of your little bits and bobs and leftovers and minis and whatever you want to do and make a scrappy monster type musselburgh hat. So if you remember, I had a baby one from the last podcast that I had finished. And then I will show in the Off My Needles a second one that I made that was not a baby. And then, so I've started this. So this technically is my third for that knit along, but it's not as scrappy as it appears. So this is my leftovers from my stripy self-striping Advent socks from 2022 is this half, and this is 2023. So they're both freckled whimsy, and I had leftovers from my socks and from my mom's. I originally was just going to do the whole thing in the 2022 Advent leftovers, but I got so far and I thought, oh, it might be really fun to have the other half be different. I picked up my 2023 Advent leftovers, and when I finished the 2 balls for this, I started that. It wasn't quite halfway when I switched. I have about 2 inches, I believe, left before I start the decreases. This has been a lot of fun. I love that these stripes, they're like about 2 rounds each. So it just seems like it knits up super quick. And yeah, this will probably be mine. We'll see. But this, until I finish this is all I'm going to work on. I'm not going to be picking up anything else because I just am having too much fun on that. That's all I've really worked on. I'll show you my Bengals hat. It's another musselburgh. And it's kind of taken a back seat to that one because the color changing just makes me want to keep knitting on it. But this is the Bengals hat. You can see it's not as far along, not even probably halfway yet, but I like it too. I mean, when I'm just knitting, it's the exact same feel in my hands. I knit my musselburghs with a US 2.5, 3mm needle, and I get 7.5 to 8 stitches unblocked. So I follow the numbers for the 7.5, and I knit the adult large for me and my husband. I just knit it to the pattern. I don't change anything. I follow the Tin Can Knits pinhole cast on. It's not a video, it's a blog post, and there's pictures. That works well for me. I have that linked in all of my pages on Ravelry. I love that pattern. I can never stop talking about it. I love it. It's just fun to knit. You're just knitting around and around and around. And then the hat at the end is wonderful because you've got 4 layers on your ears and it just fits really well. And I love that you have lots of options with sizes and yarn weights. You just pick your yarn and needles that you feel will be appropriate, and then you just start knitting, check your gauge, check down in the chart. There's all your numbers for you, and you're just knitting. It's great. Moving on to finished objects. I finished my Monster Musselburgh number 2 for the cowl, and I made that in an adult small, and that one I pulled all of my pink and purple minis and leftovers from the swap with Sue that she organized. And then I pulled a few from my own stash, made it in an adult small, and I have already sent that off to my niece. She lives in Chicago, and so I know cold weather is going to be coming their way sooner than later. And so I wanted to get that off to her. And my sister opened it up this past weekend, and she said, oh my gosh, she could not get it on her head fast enough, and then she didn't want to take it off. So that's all I need to hear. That's all I need to hear, that she loved it and she couldn't wait to wear it, and she wore it the rest of the day. Perfect. That just motivates me to knit even more. Okay. So off my needles, the first thing off my needles since we last spoke is these socks that I believe I was working on. Serpentale socks. This is by Happy Mermaid Yarn Co. I made these for my daughter, and she'll be excited to get these. I love how they knit up. I like the speckliness of that yarn. Really, really happy with those. And the next thing, was the scrappy pink hat for my niece. Talked about that. The next pair of socks that I finished were these Living Dead Girl socks. So this is yarn by Nomadic Yarns. I bought it because of that hot pink in there and the rust, and I love the greenish grays that she's got going on in there. So happy to tuck these away in my sock drawer. I didn't make them matching this time. A lot of times I will make my matching, but I didn't do that this time. I just knit. You're probably gonna laugh. I made a sweater for my concrete goose. Okay, I'll have to pop a picture in here because this tells you nothing, but her head would come out here. So a couple of years ago, when we go to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, my sister, my mom, and I, we all got in our heads that we wanted to get one of those. We wanted one of those concrete geese from like the 90s that everybody would dress up in different things. And yes, we wanted them to be able to dress up too. So we went down, we were crossing our fingers that they would have 3 of these concrete geese at our favorite concrete statue place that we've frequented many times. We went, and lo and behold, they had 3. So they had 2 that were unpainted and 1 that was painted. We really were wanting to come back and paint our own. So we got all 3 because that was all they had. And we didn't want to wait. So because it was going to be like weeks or whatever. So we got the 3 geese, brought them home. We painted them, and they've been a fixture since. So I had mine sit outside for that summer, but then I brought her in, and her name is Gladys. My sister's goose's name is Glenda, and my mom's is Gloria Jean. They have to have G names because they're geese, of course. So we brought these geese, got them painted. I put mine outside, and then I don't have a covered front porch. My mom does. My sister kind of has a covered area, but I brought mine in the house, and she hasn't left since. Gladys is very happy to sit inside. She sits over by my fireplace, and so she's a house goose now, and that's fine. She does have some seasonal outfits, but my sister, through like a really long story, stumbled on a pattern for a goose sweater, so I had to knit that. Because of course. So this yarn I have had in my stash for probably no less than 10 years, maybe 15 years. It's embarrassing. It is Malabrigo, just their worsted weight. I don't have the tag, but we had all 3 of us bought a skein of this at Loopy Yarns in Chicago, probably a year or so after my sister moved up there. She's lived in Chicago since 2004. So this yarn has been around. We each got a skein. I never did anything with mine. They never did anything with theirs. They ended up giving it to me several years ago. I'm like, what am I going to do with this yarn? I had 3 skeins. It's not enough for a sweater. I didn't really want like a sweater vest, like whatever. I'd used part of one on a colorwork bonnet for my niece, but it didn't use up that much. So I thought, ooh, this might be enough for some goose sweaters. So I knit one up and I've weighed it, and I'm going to have enough even after I used a little bit out of one of the skeins. I'll still have enough. I think it took like 84 grams or 80 grams, something like that. So we're going to be just fine. We're going to get 3 goose sweaters out of this. It took me about a weekend. It looks like a really big hat, doesn't it? It looks like one of those ponytail hats. But it's just like, it's just a tube with some ribbing at the bottom and a little fold over neck. Ridiculous. I think the neck was like 40 stitches or something like that, or 48. So anyways, so I need to get the other 2 going, or the other, I need to work on the second one, at least get it cast on, because then it's just kind of straight knitting. There's some increasing that happens, and to get over their broadness, and then it's just like straight knitting down to the rib. So I will be casting this on probably in November. This will be one of my things that I kind of work on. It'd be kind of good to have those done and give it to them for Christmas, just because, why not? So we were joking that for Christmas, when we go up to my parents' house, that my sister needs to bring her goose from Chicago and I need to bring my goose, so we can set them out on my mom's front porch and take a picture of all 3 of them in their sweaters. Will that happen? I don't know. Maybe. The last thing off my needles that I finished is the hat for my husband. In a previous episode, I know I talked about that I every year knit my husband a hat for his birthday and or anniversary. And this is yarn and a pattern that I picked up at Stitch down in Newport, Kentucky, a summer or 2 ago. And it calls for 4 colors, a color work cap by Church Mouse Yarns. And of the 4 colors, people have gotten 4 hats. So changing out the main color, and switching them around. So that is what I plan to do. I made his shorter, so it's kind of a longer, slouchy-ish kind of hat, and that is not how he likes to wear his hats. So luckily somebody else had run into that as well. So there were instructions in somebody's notes for how they shortened it up. So it's a more snug fitting hat. It still has it's not like a tight skull cap, but it's a better fit for him. So I think for me, I would probably make mine to the pattern and have the crown be just a little bit taller. But I don't hate the way that this fits either. So he's super happy about this. I still have not blocked it or anything. I thought I was going to get that done before I shared it with all of you, but I didn't. So I will. But okay. So I knit the crown per the pattern because I just wasn't sure how it was going to come out, and it was too tall. So I started this back in the beginning of September. I think the last time we talked, I had not started it, and I started it later that week. And so then I got so far, I got up to the middle of that blue repeat, that motif there. And I'm looking down, and I'm at the beginning of my round, knit around, and then I'm looking down at, so I'm to about here, and I look down on the second half of the hat, and I'm like, well, that looks weird. What's going on with that? Oh yeah, I had messed up in that first motif, and I was halfway through the chart. And I had messed up half of the hat. So if he wears it in the back, you're not going to see it. And it was off by a stitch. So these points were off by a stitch. So it was just this weird optical illusion. So I ripped back, I believe I ripped back to the ribbing. So that hurt. So I ripped that back. So then I worked the chart. It's really fun. I forgot how much fun color work is. And so then I finished the crown, did it per the pattern. And then I tried it on. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be too tall for him. He's not going to like it. I need him to try it on, just to make sure I know what I want to do. I didn't want to mess with, eliminating like a chart repeat or anything. So I thought, okay, I think if I just rip back to like you do one row in the main color before you start the crown part of the hat. So I was like, okay, I'm going to rip back to that row of all black. So it's just easy. And then I'll redo the crown. So, but I had him try it on and confirmed that where I thought I needed to start the decreases was correct. And so then I did the decreases in like a day or something like that. It didn't take that long, but getting to the point where I was ready to do it took at least 2 weeks between me finishing the too long of a crown and him trying it on and me confirming, yes, that's where I need to go. And then getting up the time and the nerve to, pick up all of those stitches with my needle and then pull it back and like do it. That all took like 2+ weeks to get done. So, but it's done now and he likes it. He's super happy. And I can see knitting more of these because I do still have all of these colors. I have plenty of them. So I will be able to make some iterations of that. Okay. So that's everything I finished. It does and it doesn't feel like a lot. So my November plans, I want to have November be pretty chill in my knitting because I'm going to be busy sewing up some Christmas collection bags, Christmas holiday bags that you'll see at the end of this. I have a shop update coming up this Friday, November 1st. It's a pre-order and we will have 2 new cat prints, a returning cat print, and a new wintry with a wink to Christmas non-cat print. That's how we identify things in this house. Is it a cat print or is it a non-cat print? Is it a floral or a non-floral? This is not a floral and it's not a cat print. So anyways, oh my gosh, I can't sit cross-legged very long. Oh, it hurts my leg. Okay, so my November plans, one of the things that I worked on, I wasn't going to get this out, but I will. One of the things that I worked on a lot on our drive to New Jersey and back was my half and half triangle wrap. It has not seen the light of day too much. And so I got this out and worked on it. I'm not even halfway yet with it, and it's going to be big. So I worked on that. So I'd love for this to get a little bit of attention this month, but we'll see, because as I'm looking at like things, I'm going, yeah, right. You're not going to get to that. The 3 things that I know I want to get done this month is I'd like to finish that Bengals hat. I don't know if that'll probably be my easy, like no-brainer, not thinking anything, just knitting project. So that one should finish up pretty quick. I know I played around with maybe doing it half black and half stripe, but I think I'm just going to knit the whole thing in that one colorway, the black and orange and white stripe, just to keep it simple. So I'm going to do that. I want to finish that this month. And then, because I'd like for him to be able to wear it a little bit during the football season, that would be great. The other thing that I want to finish is my field sweater that is very Christmassy and way too close to being done to not finish it to be able to wear this year. So this is my Christmas field sweater, and I think I have like a couple, I'm on the ribbing. I had no idea. I thought I still had like 3 inches of stockinette. Oh, okay. All right, that's exciting. That's great news. And then I have the sleeves, which, you know, let's get it done to wear in December. Okay. The other thing that I need to do is I need to get my Advent sock cuff knitting done. I'm going to do the Cozy Knitter Advent self-striping yarn socks, and then I'm going to do the Freckled Whimsy, again, self-striping Advent socks. And the Cozy Knitter, I have usually done like a cream colored cuff, heel and toe. I will probably do that again this year so they stay consistent. And then Freckled Whimsy, I have done a cream, and then last year I did a brown. She had a brown mini with it. And so I'm pretty sure I got that mini again this year. So we'll just see. But that brings me to my sock knitting. I'm frustrated, you guys. Frustrated. I'm like wanting to change up my needles because I'm not loving the fabric that I'm getting for my sock. It's almost like I'm knitting too tight for the needles that I am using. I, for the past 20 plus years, have knit socks on a US 2.5, 3 millimeter needle. That was what I learned on Magic Loop. That was how I did it. It worked. I'd get a gauge between like 7.5 to 8. I knit tighter than I maybe should on those needles, and it just makes me not love the fabric. It looks almost kind of twisted or something. I'm not loving it. I want to relax my sock knitting. I want to get back to loving my sock knitting. So I've knit on US 1.5s and US 1s. I've done 64 stitch socks. The 64 stitch socks are more snug than I'm used to, obviously, but I don't love the way that the cuff feels. So I've thought, okay, I need to go up to a 68 stitch sock if I'm doing US 1. So what is up with me? I just like, the fit was better. And I thought, I'm just going to persevere. I'm going to knit one entire sock, because sometimes once it's done, that can like change the way that it feels. Well, I got past the heel, I believe. And I realized I had dropped a stitch like 2 inches up. I'm already like kind of disgusted with the whole process that I just don't even want to do that. I just want to rip it all out and maybe try it on 1.5s. I've knit, the socks that I knit for my daughter are on 1.5s, and those I'm like, do I still feel like it's too loose? I don't know. I'm just running myself in circles. And so I think that's why I have not knit too many socks. The Living Dead Girl socks, those I had cast on with my old setup, and they were half finished from, I don't even know when. So those, I picked them up and I thought, let's just see how these feel. Maybe I'll be back in love with my US 2.5 60 stitch sock, and all will be well with the world, but I still just cannot settle on it. I'm just annoyed with myself. So playing some head games over here, and just need to get my head back on straight for the stripy Advent socks in December. So wish me luck. If you have any tips or tricks or thoughts, or have struggled with that yourself, oh my goodness, please let me know in the comments, because I'm kind of like driving myself crazy over here about it. So anyways, so that's my November plans. Finish the Bengals hat, finish the field sweater, and get my head on straight with Advent sock knitting, and get my cuffs started, because I feel so much better if I start December 1st on the first stripe instead of like the cuffs. And I'll be doing 2 pairs of each, a pair for me and a pair for my mom, of Freckled Whimsy and Cozy Knitter. So that means I'll be knitting 4 pairs of Advent socks. I make no promises to stay on track with those. I do my best, but I catch up when I do. And yeah, So I'm looking forward to that. I think I'm going to do Vlogmas this year of just catching up about once a week and just filming little things throughout the week to be able to share. That tends to work good for me. Okay, I think that's it for knitting. So I'm going to talk about what I'm reading, and then I will put in some video of the bags that are going to be in the shop update this Friday. And if you're watching this after Friday, November 1st, go check out the shop. You never know what might still be in there. I am currently reading The Address by Fiona Davis. It's a book about the Dakotas, and it is flips back and forth between a storyline in 1885, and then it flips to a more modern day in 1985, 100 years later. And you're learning how the characters are related. It's very good. Fiona Davis has another book. I think it's called The Dollhouse. I don't think I've read that one, but her writing is very good. I love a book when it switches between two time periods like that. It really keeps me engaged. It might be like 2 chapters in 1885 and then a chapter or 2 in 1985. So it's very good. And then the book that I'm listening to is Striped and Strangled by Tracy Drew. This is book 4 in her knitting series about the yarn shop owner who used to be a school counselor. Now she's the yarn shop owner of her grandparents, and she lives above the yarn shop with her grandfather. And she gets herself mixed up in her local murders, and it's just a light, fluffy, fun read. And I really enjoy those. So yeah, it's just a nice little palate cleanser. Before that, I had listened to 10 Days in a Madhouse by Nellie Bly. That is related to the book that I'm reading, The Address by Fiona Davis, because Nellie Bly is a character in that book, but she is a real life journalist from 1885. I believe she did her book. She got herself admitted into the Blackwall Island Insane Asylum, which is part of the storyline in the Address. And so Nellie Bly is a real life journalist who got herself admitted into that just to see what was going on inside. And there was lots of abuse and mistreatment of the women in there. And when she got out, she caused a big stir because she exposed the abuse and mistreatment that was happening. So it was just a quick little 3-hour read, and it was her account of that experience. And then there's also a couple of little smaller chapters near the end about being a house servant, and I can't remember the other one, but anyways, so that was really good. I think it came up as a suggested because I had looked it up on my app, and then I had looked up the address on my app, and so then it recommended that, and I was like, oh, okay. So I listened to that while I'm finishing up The Address, so that was really good. Prior to listening to that, I listened to the Housemaid trilogy by Frida McFadden. It's like The Housemaid is Watching, The Housemaid, I don't know, there's 3 of them, I forget. So those were all really good. I believe I started those back in early September, and so I pretty quickly listened to those. They're all about the same character, just following her through kind of her career or life. Very good. Frida McFadden is a thriller writer, and she is very captivating in her writing. So I've listened to a couple of her other books, The Inmate, and there's another one, I think. But her books are very good if you're looking for like a psychological thriller. And then the other book that I just recently finished that I talked about in my last podcast was For the Love of Summer by Susan Mallory. And that was a very good book. I read that in like paper form. That is what I have been reading. Thanks for watching. Oh, and I should say my intro and out music is by my husband. I put a post on Instagram, and everything. But the last time when I recorded, I didn't quite know if it was going to be a part of it or not. I needed him to get me that music file, but it is a song, Stolen Minutes, that my husband wrote and performed for me back in 2016 when my Stolen Minutes shop was just a wee babe and had just opened it up and was just starting this whole adventure. And so he wrote that for me, and it's just kind of been sitting in the back of my mind. But he is a bari saxophone player. By day, he is an elementary music teacher and high school director. He wears lots of musical hats, but he's also an amazing composer, and he wrote and performed it with his group, the Bright Moments Quintet. And it's a group of guys that he has played with, and a gal who sings, that he's played with some of these guys for over 20 years. And I just love supporting him in that. And I'm super excited to have my own song for my podcast. So I hope you enjoy it. I'll put a link below if you want to look for him on Amazon or wherever you listen to music. You should be able to find it there, as well as the album that it is on. So he has a couple of albums that he has put out over the years. I'm super proud of him and excited for it to be a part of my podcast now. I think that is it. I hope you have a great rest of your day, that you find all of your stolen minutes to be able to knit or crochet or whatever you like to do in your spare time. I thank you for joining me today. It's been wonderful to get to chat with you and catch up and share all that I've been working on. Stay tuned if you want to see the bags that are coming to the shop. If you are on my newsletter list, you have already seen these. And if you would like to sign up for my newsletter to be in the know of what is coming to the shop and when, I'll put that link down below too. There's a link to all of my Ravelry project pages below. That is where you can find all the details, yarns, needles, notes that I make. I try to put some detailed notes in there about things if I have something to say, if I made a modification, or if there was a specific tutorial to a cast on or something like that that I want to be able to reference later, or I think might be of help to somebody else who's struggling or looking for ideas. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks for hanging out with me. I'll talk to you later. Bye. So here is our Christmas holiday collection. We're going to have 3 cat prints and 1 that is just holiday or winter, in my opinion. So the first new cat print is this one here, like bookshelves. Got some books on the shelf. Got the black cat, snow globe, candles. That'll be in our medium and large. A returning cat print is the mischievous cats, and they are up to all kinds of no good cat business. So we will have a few medium and a few large. This bag is from a couple years ago, and I discovered some fabric laying on a shelf, and so pulled that out because why not? And our third or second new cat print is these cozy kitties. And this is in a small and medium. So they've got on scarves and hats. It's more winter than Christmas. I like it for that reason. But they are super cute. That will be in small and medium. And then our last new print is, let me get these out of the way, is this sweater weather. So we've got lots of sweaters on here. There's a little nod to Christmas on there, but overall it's more of just a wintry pattern. Some color work sweaters. I love the initial sweaters on there. So this is our Christmas collection. Don't mind Shadow back there. He is having a good time. So this is our Christmas collection. I hope you like it.